Happy Saturday, YouTube. How you guys doing this afternoon? I hope that you guys are enjoying your weekend. I know I am. I wanted to pop on real quick so that we can discuss the fact that we have lost within 24 hours two of our community civil rights icons. Unfortunately, we have lost Senator John Lewis as well as Cardiel Tindell CV Vivian. Good afternoon, Natasha. How you doing? And I want to discuss and share an article with you guys. So much of the time we don't even have any idea about hey Nita, how you doing? Any idea of the many men and women that fought for the rights that we hold so dear, right to this day. And these two men, Senator John Lewis as well as C.T. Vivian, fought right along beside Martin Luther King during the civil rights marches and riots in the 50s and 60s. And I wanted to offer up my condolences and say to these kings, and I hope that they will, I know that they will rest in power. Do you see what I'm saying? Sit beside our Most High God because they have been good and faithful servants. Do you see what I'm saying? And so I wanted to come on today and make this little video about them because unfortunately a lot of us, especially our young people, and also a lot of our older people don't even know. We all know about Martin Luther King Jr., but we don't know a lot about the other people that helped him in the fight during the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. And they fought right alongside him. They went to jail, beside him. They took beatings, right beside him, all in an effort to, to get the government to grant us our civil as well as human rights that we should have been able to, make it happen, Manny. How you doing, love? Rights that we know that should not have to have been fought for. You see what I'm saying? But because we are in the United States of America, that is what these brave soldiers had to do. And that is why I wanted to share a little knowledge, share a little history, a little short biography, if you will, about C.T. Vivian as well as Senator John Lewis. Hey, Mika, how you doing? And so, like I said, I want to share this article with you guys real quick because I think it is an excellent article, and it gives a brief history of not only Senator John Lewis, but also C.T. Vivian. I'm sure a lot of us have heard of Senator John Lewis. He worked, in Washington, until he got sick. Do you see what I'm saying? But a lot of people may not have ever heard about C.T. Vivian. And so, hey, Jen, and that is the reason why I want to share the article with you guys. And like I said, I know it's Saturday. I know that you guys have a lot to do, but I really, wanted to put forth this video in remembrance of these two civil rights icons that died the same day. Do you see what I'm saying? So we've lost two civil rights icons within 24 hours. Do you see what I'm saying? And so, hey, Lady Tia, how you doing? You don't know much about C.T. Vivian. Yeah, I'm sure. Like I said, a lot of people don't know a lot about C.T. Vivian, and there's a reason for that. And and we know a little bit more about Senator John Lewis. Do you see what I'm saying? Senator John Lewis, as a matter of fact, before I share this article, we know that he was also before he went to Washington and during Washington. It was a civil rights lawyer, and had been the civil rights lawyer all during the civil rights movement. Do you see what I'm saying? And he joined Martin Luther King in his fight. You know what I mean? But he is a civil rights lawyer. C.T. Vivian was a pastor, if you will, a reverend, if you will. And at the time, he was once the leader of an organization called the Southern Christian Leadership Foundation. Some leadership organization. I know I'm the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. That's what it was called. And Martin Luther King came out of that Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He was elected by that conference to head the civil rights movement. And thank you, Speed Bump. And Vivian was an integral part of him being nominated to lead the civil rights movement. A lot of people don't know about that little piece of history either. But anyway, with that, and also before I share the article, I wanted to talk about something that is really disturbing to me. We have been talking about Nick Cannon for a couple of days, ever since he came out with that video that we all saw that he's since taken down and apologized for. A lot of people have been speaking out against him. He's lost pretty much a whole lot. I won't say everything, but in the way of a job or employment or even revenue. He's lost a great deal. He's lost several contracts for hosting shows. He's lost a show that he created called Wild and Out. And even black people have been speaking out about him and saying that he was wrong and shouting him down. And all of that is because of lack of knowledge, because it's what we're seeing. And a lot of black people don't realize this. We are seeing the buck breaking of a black man. And because of lack of knowledge, a lot of us are assisting these people in the buck breaking of child Nick Cannon. Okay, but we're going to talk about that. Secondly, and I'll go a little deeper with that after we talk about John Lewis, Senator John Lewis, and CT Vivian. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is share my screen with you guys, and I'm going to share what? No, I didn't see that, Lady Tia. They're going to have Ryan Seacrest host Wild and Out. How is that going to look? I thought they canceled the show. That is the last thing I heard about that. But anyway, we'll talk about that after we talk about, like I said, C.T. Williams and Senator John Lewis. Okay? And so if you will give me a second to share my screen here, we'll get started. Like I said, I'm not trying to hold you guys too long because I'm not trying to hold myself too long. We had a very long, over 2-hour live stream yesterday, and I want to thank you guys so much for many of you stand with me the whole time that we did that we shared the information. Y'all know me and this computer, okay? I really have to focus, right? And so let's give it a minute to pop up, and we will continue with this conversation. Let's see. Okay, it's coming up. Okay, I'm hoping that you guys can see this on the screen. If you can see this on the screen, will somebody please hit the 1 and just let me know that you can see it on the screen? Because I really want to share this information. I really want you guys to read along with me. Okay. My allergies is killing me. Thank you, Lady Tia, for letting me know. Thank you, Speed Bump, for joining the live stream yesterday. Okay, so this the man on the screen, as you all may know, is Senator John Lewis. And he passed away from cancer. Okay, so this is a CNN article from earlier today. Actually, it was updated today, I believe. Thank you guys for letting me know that you can see it, by the way. And so it's like I said, it's from CNN, and we'll read a little bit of the article. The article goes on to state that, and also I chose this article because it has a lot of pertinent information, a brief biography of the two men, as well as a couple of very important pictures. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these photos from the civil rights movement, okay? And so the article goes on to state that two towering figures of the American civil rights movement died yesterday, a major loss for a nation still grappling with protests and demands for racial equality decades later, which is absolutely true. John Robert Lewis. I used to know this boy in school that I used to go, if you used to have your little boyfriends in middle school. One of my little boyfriends in middle school was named John Robert Shaw. But anyway, on a side note, John Robert Lewis died at age 80 after a battle with cancer. God rest his soul. Reverend Tindell, C.T. Vivian, died at age 95 of natural causes. God bless him. 95, y'all. Hey, Brad. Of natural causes. They died a day before the birthday of the late a day before the birthday of the late Nelson Mandela, another renowned champion for racial justice. Wow. Both men were the epitome of quote unquote good trouble. Lewis that was his favorite saying, and approach to an approach to confronting injustices without violence. He called himself Good Trouble. Okay, I know that's right. See, John Lewis. I was going to call him C.W. Lewis. Let me slow down here. All right, now I'm taking about too many things at one time. Anyway, the article goes on to state that did I say they worked alongside Reverend Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr, should we say, Martin Luther King Jr. In the front line, y'all, okay, of the historic struggle for racial justice in the 1960s. At the height of the push for justice, their beatings at the protest galvanized support. Wow, that led to key changes. After years of arrests, confrontations, and unyielding demands for justice, they received the highest civilian honor from the nation's first Black president. And just let me say that Barack Obama, honored these two men, and we're going to find out how he honored them. They say they received once again the highest civil honor from the nation's first Black president. All right, John Lewis. The article goes on to state that there is Representative Lewis right here. Let me let the screen catch up. Okay, this is Representative Lewis, and the caption under the picture says, John Lewis was more than an icon of the civil rights movement. He was also a beloved Georgia congressman, a political force, and an ally for marginalized communities nationwide. All right. The article goes on to state that, quote, the world has lost a legend. The civil rights movement has lost an icon. The city of Atlanta has lost one of its most fearless leaders, and the Congressional Black Caucus has lost our longest serving member. Why I didn't know he was the longest serving member of the Congressional Black Caucus. I didn't know that. John Lewis was known as the conscience of our caucus, unquote. I can see how that would be true. The article goes on to state that Lewis, a Democrat who served as the U.S. representative for Georgia's 5th congressional district for more than 3 decades, was considered a moral conscience, right, of Congress because of his belief in a nonviolent fight for civil rights. His passion for equal rights was backed by a long record of action that included dozens of arrests during protests against racial and social injustice. A follower and colleague of Martin Luther King Jr., he participated in lunch counter sit-ins, joined the Freedom Riders, in challenging segregated buses, and at the age of 23 was a keynote speaker at the historic 1963 March on Washington. This photo right here actually is a picture of John Lewis being beat by a state trooper. This I'm trying to put my arrow right. I don't know if you can see it. The black man on the ground holding his head in the front of the photo, as well as the state trooper. And you can see he's got a billy club in his hand. That is John Lewis. The caption under the photo states that John Lewis is beaten by a state trooper during a civil rights voting march in Selma, Alabama on March 7th, 1965. So he was absolutely on the front lines of the fight. He was in the fight. He was in the thick of it, okay, taking beatings and incarcerations and all, right beside Martin Luther King. Do you see what I'm saying? So he is absolutely a civil rights icon, all right? Sorry, I'm not gonna get sidetracked by the by the comment section. Let me set this phone down for a second because Brandy here to get rid of the troll. So I'm gonna set that phone down for a second, guys, so I won't get sidetracked. All right. The article goes on to state that, quote, we do not want our freedom gradually. We want to be free now, he said at the time. Isn't that something? He said that over 50 years ago, we want our freedom now. We don't want it gradually. And here we are in 2020, and we are still trying to gradually gain our freedom because it wasn't given to us right now, not totally. Do you see what I'm saying? And so the article goes on to state that There's another quote that said, sometimes when I look back, and they're talking about John Lewis, sometimes when I look back and think about it, how did we do what we did? Absolutely. How did we succeed? Absolutely. We didn't have a website, right? We didn't have a cellular telephone, unquote. Lewis has said of the civil rights movement. That's what he said about it. I don't understand how we did it, he said. You know what I mean? And so, shoot, word of mouth. You know what I mean? The article goes on to state that, excuse me, at age 25, he also helped lead a march for voting rights on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, where he and other marchers were met by heavily armed state and local police who attacked them with clubs, fracturing Lewis's skull. He got his skull fractured, y'all, because he was trying to march for voting rights for our people, a right that some of us, don't even think any thing about these days. A lot of our people marched and died for us to have the right to vote, and a lot of us have never even voted one time in any election. Do you see what I'm saying? And that is also because of a lack of knowledge. Do you see what I'm saying? In my opinion, and a lot of other things, but absolutely a lack of knowledge. Do you see what I'm saying? The article goes on to state that images from the quote-unquote Bloody Sunday shocked the nation and galvanized support for the Voting Rights Act of 1965, signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson. In 2011, after more than 50 years on the front lines of the civil rights movement, America's first black president placed the Presidential Medal of Freedom on his neck. So in 2011, Barack Obama awarded John Lewis with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Okay. The article goes on to state that Lewis has described attending President Barack Obama's 2009 inauguration as an out-of-body experience. I can imagine. So I can imagine after all that he's gone through, it would be like an out-of-body experience. Okay. The article goes on to state that when he announced that he'd been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer in December, he vowed to fight. There's a quote that states, quote, I have been in some kind of fight for freedom, equality, and basic human rights for nearly my entire life. I have never faced a fight quite like this one. This one I have now, he said in the statement. I'm assuming he was talking about his battle with cancer. He said he had been in some kind of fight for freedom. Wow, all his life, but he had never fought one like that. Ain't that something? It's when your own body attacks you. Do you see what I'm saying? So, moving further down the article. This is Cardell Tindell Williams, also known as C.T. Vivian. I say Williams. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm coming up with these names. But anyway, this is C.T. Vivian, right? Cordy, Tindell, Vivian. All right? This man right here, he's also a civil rights icon. And let's learn a little bit about him. C.T. Vivian was also a major force in the civil rights movement. He worked alongside King in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. That is what I was trying to tell you guys at first when I got the name jumbled up. Okay. He worked alongside a king in the Southern Christian Leadership Congress in the struggle, for racial equality. And like Lewis, he was also a part of the Freedom Riders. Yes, he was. Civil rights activists who rode through southern states to make sure bus terminals and other public facilities were not segregated. The article goes on to state that, I'm going to pan this up a little bit so you can see this picture. This is C.T. Vivian when he was younger, okay? And like Lewis, he also a part of, I read that. The article goes on to state that his civil rights action started decades ago with his first nonviolent protest in 1947. We got a troll. Hold on. Is Brandy getting on there? I'm getting it. Let me get it, guys. Oh, she got it. Okay. All right. I saw that. I caught it at the corner of my eye, child. Corner of my eye. We don't do trolls around here. Anyway, the article goes on to state that his civil rights action started decades ago with his first nonviolent protest in 1947, a lunch counter sit-in in Peoria, Illinois. Vivian had a strong religious upbringing, and he and other ministers founded the Nashville Christian Leadership Conference, an affiliate of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. The group helped organize sit-ins and civil rights marches. Okay? Brady said, I got it. They thought I was sleeping. I heard that, Brad. The reason why I know, if I could say, the reason why I was first introduced to the legacy to CT Vivian is in school, and in black schools were different than predominantly black schools were different when I was going to school. We had a lot of black teachers that taught us a lot of things about the civil rights movement and other historical facts pertaining to black people. I don't think they do that so much now in schools, but they did when I was in school, and I first heard of CT Vivian when I was in middle school, actually, by a black man, my black teacher, my black English teacher, named Mr. Bourne. So that's when I first heard of CT Vivian and a whole host of other black civil rights icons. The article goes on to state under the photo, it says the caption under the photo, is Cordell Tindell, CT Vivian talks to an officer during one of the Freedom Riders from Montgomery, Alabama, Freedom Rides from Montgomery, Alabama to Jackson, Mississippi in 1961. Like, can you imagine? I cannot imagine being back then. I cannot. Wow. What? Oh, wow. 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 It's amazing that a lot of our young people don't understand what a lot of our elders had to endure, like I said, for the rights that we hold so dear, that we take for granted these days. Not even realizing that we even right now don't have full autonomy when it comes to basic civil and human rights. Okay? The article goes on to state that some of the marches ended in violence against him. He once led a group of people to register to vote in Selma, Alabama, despite defiance by a local sheriff who blocked the group. There's a quote that states that from him that states, "We will register to vote because as citizens of the United States, we have the right to do it," unquote. He told the sheriff. The sheriff responded by beating CT Vivian until blood dripped off his chin in front of rolling cameras. He beat him till blood dripped off the sheriff did. The police beat this man until blood rolled down his chin in front of rolling cameras. Okay? The images helped galvanize a wider support for change. Wow, that's deep. Vivian, CT Vivian, also created a college readiness program to help care for children kicked out of school for protesting racism. Ain't that something? We got another troll in here, guys. I'm sure Brenda gonna get it. If she don't, I'll get it. No worries, I got it. My own self. Okay, move right along. All right, let me read that again. CT Vivian also created a college readiness program to help care for children kicked out of school for protesting racism. Ain't that something? The article goes on to state that the U.S. Department of Education used this program as a guide to create Upward Bound. Do you guys remember Upward Bound? I remember Upward Bound. The U.S. Department of Education used this program as a guide to create Upward Bound, which was designed to improve high school and college graduation rates for students in underserved communities. Wow. That is awesome. Okay. In the late 1970s, Vivian founded an anti-racism organization that focused on monitoring the Ku Klux Klan. Obama awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2013. CT Vivian was also by Barack Obama. I think it's amazing that it took Barack Obama to be in office to be the president in order to recognize these true civil rights icons. The end of the article, like I said, states that Obama awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2013. Wow, that is awesome. I'm so glad that he was able to honor these civil rights icons I cannot imagine having to fight the way that they fought in a nonviolent way, during the civil rights marches and riots. They did so much for Black people, and so many people don't even know, have never even heard of these two strong Black men. Do you see what I'm saying? And neither have they heard of what they had to endure, while they were in the fight for our civil and human rights. You know, I agree, Lady Tia. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. So anyway, that concludes the article. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen right now, and so yeah, I see another troll. So Brandy got him. Okay, and let me stop sharing the screen. And so I just wanted to share this short article about Lewis, Senator Lewis, as well as CT Vivian with you guys. Perhaps somebody will hear about these civil rights icons that have never heard of them before, and it will cause them to do a little research when it comes to the rights movement. There are so many unsung heroes, so many Black men and women that a lot of people have never even heard of. I think it's a shame that a lot of especially our younger people, and even maybe some older people, my age and younger, do you see what I'm saying, have never even, thought too much to do any type of research when it comes to the civil rights movement, and that's why I truly believe in that quote that says, "My people are destroyed by lack of knowledge." Do you see what I'm saying? And so that is one of the reasons why I wanted to, show my respect for these civil rights icons, as well as drop this video, in case somebody comes, by and have never heard of these two great Black men, these strong soldiers, these brave warriors. I cannot imagine the strength it took to let somebody beat you down, okay, give you skull fractures, and beat you down with billy clubs and police batons, all because you want the best for your people. I cannot imagine. Do you see what I'm saying? But without men and women, our our elders doing what they did, we would not be where we are today. We are even not where we need to be, where we are supposed to be. But at least because of them, we are here, and we are at least here, to this day. And I wanted to that's right, Brandy. I believe it. I agree. There's no words for what it took. You're absolutely right about that. So I want to share that with you guys. So moving right along, let's talk about what I see as the buck breaking of Nick Cannon. Okay, and so like I said, we have been hearing about Nick Cannon, and the interview for a couple of days. After the interview came out, we heard him apologize. We heard that Viacom, a multimedia conglomerate, as well as CBS, pretty much fired him. They parted ways with him. I heard that they had canceled Wilding Out, a show that he created, and Lady Tia said that she heard that Ryan Seacrest was now going to be hosting that show. Why they would choose Ryan Seacrest to host a show like Wilding Out, I don't know. It's ridiculous. Probably as a slap in the face to Nick Cannon. Do you see what I'm saying? But the thing with Nick Cannon, and you hear a lot of Black people, speaking out against Nick Cannon, a lot of entertainers, a lot of athletes, a lot of everyday people, even some content creators speaking out against Nick Cannon's misstep. What they're calling his, they couldn't even call it hate speech. The devil is always in the details. That's why they said it was hateful speech, not hate speech, but hateful speech. Okay, and they couldn't say that he was spouting anti-Semitic rhetoric. They said that he was speaking anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Like I said, the devil is always in the details. Do you see what I'm saying? And yes, it's a slap in the face, and it's on purpose. But for black people, because of lack of knowledge, they are co-signing them. And this is nothing but a reaction to all the Black Lives Matter protests, all the Karens and other Anglos that have been called out via the racist rhetoric. You see what I'm saying? We've seen some Karens and some Brads, lose their job. Do you see what I'm saying? We've seen all that going on. And so what they want to do is silence somebody like Nick Cannon. And like I said, there's also payback for these protests and for all these Anglos supposedly losing their job, because you don't get this same energy when it comes to the Anglos. You have seen many derogatory comments coming out of the mouths of these Anglos. We've heard athletes call other black athletes and black people the N-word. The president of the United States is xenophobic. He makes all these racist comments and uses all these racial epithets and stereotypes on a daily basis. This is the president, but you don't see these people coming at these Anglos like you see them coming at Nick Cannon. And for that reason, because we don't know, a lot of us don't know, we are not understanding what we are witnessing. Do you see what I'm saying? Aisha says Nick has been straddling the fence so long, he should have known that he was going to eventually. Yeah, he should have known that it was eventually going to happen. But the issue with Nick Cannon, that this thing happens a lot when it comes to black men and women, black people, should I say, when you start to wake up, when you start to seriously start to research and trying to find out who you really are as a person, from whence you came, you try to, really research and, figure out your culture, figure out why, yes, he did say they were evil and barbaric. Yes, he did. He did not lie. I don't understand. I don't understand, the lie. And let me tell you what they said about and actually those were not the anti-Semitic words. And like I said, they couldn't say that he said anything anti-Semitic because technically he did not. But like I said, the devil is in the details, and what he said was the issue. They said he was speaking anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, and what they were talking about is when he was talking about the history of the black Hebrews, saying that we were the true Jews and we were the true Hebrews, when he was saying stuff like that. And when he used the word, and when you go to talking about when he said that they were evil and barbaric, that wasn't the anti-Semitic rhetoric. He was talking about the Anglo and the Anglo's lack of melanin. That's why they said that was hateful speech. He said because they lack melanin, they are less than us when it comes to civility. And that is what they were calling hateful speech. See, like I said, the devil is always in the details. Sometimes you really have to listen to a thing to understand what he said. So he went back and apologized because he quickly found out that there was backlash coming. And I truly believe him when he said that he wasn't trying to hurt anybody. He did not say this in a mean tone. He didn't have no bass in his voice. He didn't put what he said, in a way that was, that was mean-spirited. Do you see what I'm saying? But what they're doing, like I said, I just explained to you what they're doing. They're pretty much buck breaking him, because we have seen several athletes and entertainers be buck broke in public from what they said. Do you see what I'm saying? You saw that happen to Snoop Dogg. Oprah and Gail buck broke him. You saw that in just a couple of weeks ago with Deshaun Jackson. They broke him when they made him apologize over and over again. And you're seeing the same thing with Nick Cannon. Now, if they don't buck break you, they will kill you. We saw that with as far back as Tupac Shakur, Malcolm X, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and so many more. Okay? They would break, but they have to break any kind of black man that wants to stand up for his people. They think that he has any kind of black man in particular that has a voice, that can bring about change. They want to publicly buck break him. They want to make him bow down and apologize. They want to make him beg for forgiveness. They want to strip any kind of control or power or any kind of platform that they think that he has, because they want black people to stay asleep. Okay, they want you to stay asleep. They don't want you to realize who you are. So when they heard that video, they figured they had to silence Nick Cannon. Now, what you don't understand is they've been watching Nick Cannon for a while, since the time he put that thing on his head. That I can't call it a hijab because it's not. When he started wearing that what do you call that thing he put on his head? That genie hat on his head. From the time he started wearing that, they knew that he was trying to wake up. Okay, he was trying to figure out who he was trying to come out of the fog. Okay, he was trying to undo the programming that has been inflicted on our people since they walked off the boat, undo the trauma from chattel slavery. Okay, undo. He was wanting to do all of that, and that is what you're doing when you are waking up. And so he had this conversation with Professor Griff. You know, even Professor Griff asked him, "You sure you want to do this?" Because Professor Griff knew that when he started speaking out in the way of a turban, thank you, that he started speaking out, that it was going to be a problem. And Nick was so, happy to be speaking with somebody that could understand where he was coming from. I think that he got kind of carried away with the conversation. That's all he did. But in the midst of him having that conversation, he was only speaking the knowledge that he had acquired. He had no idea that it was going to have such a backlash. He didn't have no idea, because if he had any idea of what was going to happen to him, I'm sure, he wouldn't have said any of it. He would have let Professor Griff say everything. But he was so excited to be talking to Professor Griff, honey. He was over talking Professor Griff. He did more talking than Professor Griff did. Okay? And so, excuse me, I had to drink something. And it's unfortunate what's happened to him now, because like I said, what we are witnessing is a buck breaking. They want to silence this man. And they coming hard at any black man that speaks out. And this is backlash for the Black Lives Matter movement, because people are once again speaking up and demanding their civil, judicial, and human rights. Do you see what I'm saying? They don't like when you wake up, even for a moment. They don't want you to wake up and stand up for who you are. Why do you think there's such a whitewashing in America right now? Because see, the thing about Nick Cannon is, and what he didn't realize is that there are several systems in place, to shut up any kind of black man or any black person in general that want to let you know what's really going on in this country. They want to keep you, like I said, they want to keep you asleep. Okay? So to the point to where there are black people shouting him down, saying he was anti-Semitic, saying that he was being racist and all of this and all of that, when that is not the case. That is not the case at all. And like I said, you've heard many white people say much harsher things, but they are not being treated this way. That in itself, that fact that right there, that they've taken all of these things from him, because he said a few words and he didn't say a mean-spirited. But look at what they've done to him. And they stressed him out to the point to where, he making these cryptic tweets and stuff, talking about y'all can have this earth and all of this and all of that. And I think it was a Breakfast Club saying, I hope he's not trying to harm himself. All this for this entertainment. I wouldn't want to be in the entertainment industry. You see what Tamar Braxton is going through. We saw on that video. We heard Monique crying. We heard what was her name? Viola Davis. Wanting to know why she can't get paid. Her worth. All of this. Do you see what I'm saying? All of this going on because this black man just with speaking a little knowledge. And then another thing is, the reason why it's getting on my nerves about black folks is you don't realize, what you don't realize is that for 400 years, we were enslaved. We have only been free, what they call free, for 100 years. If you have been enslaved, if you have been treated like cattle, if your whole identity was stripped away from you for 400 years, if you have trauma from slavery downloaded in your DNA because of the horrific treatment from slavery, you got all this psychological trauma going on that you're trying to overcome, especially as a black man in America. Okay? You're trying to know who you are. And you say something about something that you learned, that you are talking to a Professor Griffith about, because he has more knowledge about this than you do, and you want to know. And you are not being hateful because you want to know who you are. But because you speak out and have a conversation, you're going to get your whole livelihood stripped away from you? Because of that? That is beyond whitewashing. I did a couple of videos back a couple of weeks ago. I said that I did not agree with these all of these Confederate monuments being stripped away, because what they're doing is further whitewashing history. They don't even teach you about the horrific treatment and trauma that our people had to endure during chattel slavery. Yes, we all know that it's bad, but we don't understand how bad it was. So bad that trauma was downloaded in your DNA. So bad that even if you don't think you feel a way about the Anglo, it still make you feel a way about the Anglo, especially the police when you come in contact with them. You get a little warning sign in your head going off, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. That's cause of trauma that's downloaded in your DNA. So when you see somebody like Nick Cannon want to start to try to rid himself of some of that, and you see so much backlash coming towards him, even from his own people, it's because of lack of knowledge, and it's also because of training. A lot of people succumb to the master's training. Beat a black man down. Let me help him beat him. Let me help beat this black man down. Because we know that one thing that happened during slavery was that a lot of times they would make one slave whip another slave. Do you see what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to black men. Even black women had to beat their own men, whip their own men sometimes. Can you imagine the trauma that came from you, the slave, having to beat your own people, probably just for nothing at all? But because the master was offended by it, do you see what I'm saying? And he wanted to be extra cruel, and he wanted to continue to hypnotize your mind and program you against your own people. He made you beat another slave. Beat them to blood. You see what I'm saying? Black men had to endure so much, and women. It's no one, black person, man or woman, endured more or harsher treatment than the other. It's equally across the board heinous what happened to our people. But in black men, let's talk about one thing in particular that they had to endure. Okay? They had to endure a system called buck breaking. Okay? And I know you guys have heard about buck breaking before and what that entailed. But let's talk about one thing that I learned, because there's a reason why I say that I am always a student and never will I ever be a teacher. And the reason why I say that is because that I cannot be alive long enough to know everything that I need to know, even about our people, as well as the world, but even about our people. I don't have a lifespan long enough in order for me to know everything that I need to know. I'm not one of them people that think I know it all. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm one of the people that think I don't know enough. I know I don't know enough. But I learned one thing, interestingly enough, when it comes to buck breaking, especially what happened to black men during slavery when they were en route. Some of them were en route to the Americas. I learned from another content creator, a Funky Dineva, a gay black man. He was having a conversation, and of course, like I said, we have all heard of buck breaking, but I didn't know this. I learned something, and it made me think about something in particular in a different way. So Funky Dineva was talking about seasoning forms and seasoning forms in Jamaica. And he was saying that the reason why black men are so, black gay men in particular, are treated so bad, in Jamaica in particular, is because of these seasoning forms. And what he said went on in these seasoning forms broke my heart. I was in tears listening to this black man explain what went on in these seasoning forms. So Funky Dineva goes on to say that he did some research because he was wondering why black gay men in particular were treated so badly in Jamaica. Do you see what I'm saying? You have a lot of people in the LGBTQ community, always speaking about they feel like they are treated harsher in the black community, even if they're black, when it comes to them being gay or whatnot, right? And so he said he did some research about, why Jamaicans felt, so derogatorily when it comes to, being gay and black and male in Jamaica. And he said the history of that, the root cause of that, he believed was because of these seasoning forms. And he said that when the slaves were being brought to the Americas and other places, a lot of times the slave ships would stop off in Jamaica and take these black males to these seasoning forms. And what happened in these seasoning forms is they would take the strongest black males, or the black males that they thought were the leaders, the black males that they thought would fight and be combative. They would take and break them like you break a horse. You break a horse, you make him, what they call, they tame the horse. They ride him down, and sometimes they whip him with a whip and all of this in order to tame the horse so that you can be able to ride the horse. So what they would do to these strong black men, these Africans, is abuse them sexually. They would sodomize them, okay? Essentially taking away their manhood. Because I'm a woman, but I can only imagine, I can only sympathize. I can't empathize because I'm not a man. What would it mean to me if I were a straight black male and I was raped, I was sodomized? What would that mean to me? That would mean you took my manhood away from me. You are taking my essence away from me. Do you see what I'm saying? By this man essentially raping this big old black slave. You're taking his manhood away from him. You're taking his dignity, his pride, his self-respect away from him. And they did this to these black men on these seasoning forms before they was dropped off, in places in the America and other places, throughout the diaspora. That's what they would do to them men. That is how they would break them. They would sodomize them. And of course they would beat them. That's right. Lady Tia said it hurts so bad to know that they emasculate. That's right. Even to this day, I'm glad she said that they are. That's right, Brandon. It's absolutely hurtful. I cannot imagine. They even to this day emasculate our black men. And when you see Nick Cannon doing like he's doing, they are buck breaking him. Okay? But to hear black people say he a sellout because he apologized, do you see what I'm saying? Because I really don't think he was trying to be hurtful. I really, that was not the tone. I did not get that. And them white folks know that he wasn't trying to be hurtful. Them Jewish owners know that he wasn't trying to be hurtful. He was suffering from a lack of knowledge. Okay, he was so happy to learn something new. Like I said, to be talking to somebody that he felt, could offer him up even more knowledge, that he had that conversation. But for that reason, because he had that conversation, and because he is Nick Cannon, and because the environment when it comes to race in America right now, this is what is happening to Nick Cannon and a Deshaun Jackson. They are buck breaking them. They want them to be quiet. They don't want them to talk about things like that. But and like I said, but because of lack of knowledge, they know more about us than we know about them. We still can't understand what they thought was anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. But I told you about, when he was saying that we are the true Hebrews and all this and all that, whatnot. But also they talked about, how so many Jewish people's own, like the entertainment industry, and all of this and all of that, how they run things and all of this and all that. Well, come to find out, a lot of Jewish people consider that as, like a stereotype, like a racist stereotype. Of course, us as black people, we don't think of saying something like that as a racist stereotype, right? To us, if we see something, the black folks run this, that's going to be a plus for us because we know that we run nothing. Do you see what I'm saying? When it comes to a big business in this country, we know that the black man we don't have that kind of power in this country. So if they was going around saying that them black folks own the entertainment industry, we wouldn't see it as derogatory. You see what I'm saying? But because it's a racial a stereotype when it comes to Jewish people that dates our way back. You can say Hitler. Let's go back to World War II and the way that the propaganda machine works against the Jews during Hitler. What they did before they actually pretty much kidnapped all the Jews in Germany and out in a lot of other places, Russia and a lot of other places. Before they did that, they had to mount a propaganda machine. Okay, they had to systematically oppress first via propaganda, like they do black people. They had to start out, saying stuff like, the reason why we are poor, the reason why you can't find a job, the reason why you can't get a bank loan, the reason why you're living in substandard conditions, the reason why you're socioeconomically depressed is because of the Jew. This is what they were saying in Germany. This was their anti-propaganda against them. This was their rhetoric to poison the Germans' mind towards the Jew. Do you see what I'm saying? Because if you can poison somebody's mind like they do black people, we are thought of as 3/5 of a human being. So if you are thought of as less than by the population, when these people start to turn on you like they did the Jews and take everything away from them, take out their property, their money, first they put them in these slums, these ghetto type situations when they were, very prominent people, a lot of them. So they took everything away from them and they packed them like rats in these downtrodden apartment buildings that they called ghettos. Okay, where they couldn't hardly eat. They couldn't make a living. They had no way of surviving because they took it away from them. Okay, and then from there, they started putting them in concentration camps. But the way that they were able to do that, and the reason why the German people didn't bat an eye when Hitler and the Nazis were doing this to the Jewish people, is because they had spouted off, because they had poisoned the German people's minds. You don't have what they have because they got it all. Okay? And that is, one way. And they started, using a whole lot of, racial stereotypes and lies about the Jewish people. So when it comes time for Hitler to put the Jewish people in these concentration camps and kill them, men, women, and children, experiment on them, the everyday German person is going to turn a blind eye. And if you were a German person and you dared to help these Jewish people, which many of Germans help these Jewish people to freedom. But if you are a German and you are caught, harboring what they called a Jewish fugitive, you are put to death also. You are a traitor to your country. Do you see what I'm saying? A lot of black people, we don't know that about, the Jewish people and and what type of racial stereotypes, they have had to deal with, even in this country. What we say, we don't see it as a racial stereotype. We see racial stereotypes as something like when you calling us the N-word. Do you see what I'm saying? When you hanging a noose by a tree and you're threatening to kill our people, when you're shooting our men and women down in the backs like dogs in the middle of the street. Do you see what I'm saying? That is what we call racial injustice. When you call us the N-word, that is a racial slur. And so much other stuff that is done to black people in this country. Do you see what I'm saying? But the Jewish people, they know this. They know what we have had to endure in this country, and it still endure on a daily basis. But they also know that we don't know what they have historically had to endure. Okay? Let me read this. Lady Tia says, so many of our people has been coming so hard on Nick. He was speaking. Yes, that's what I heard, Lady Tia. I mentioned that. Just what white supremacy want. To break him. You're absolutely right. They're trying to break him. But see, here's the thing. Like I said, a lot of us black people, we are so consumed by our fight. How we have to fight every day when we step out of our house. The fight of injustice that we have to deal with every day on a continual basis. We in this lack of knowledge that we don't know, what any other racial group of people have had to endure, like the Jewish people. But the Jewish people, they know that a lot of us don't know this. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's particularly insidious when they say that he is spouting out anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. They can't say he said nothing anti-Semitic, okay? Because he didn't call them one derogatory name, okay? Not one. They said anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. That's what they said. All right? Hateful speech, not hate speech. Because he wasn't saying anything in a derogatory tone. He was having a very calm conversation, trying to educate himself when it comes to black people. But because of white supremacy, racism, because Jewish people in this country have been admitted into that patriarchal club, if you will, that patriarchal society called white supremacy racism, because they know that and they are a part of that. Okay, they want to do this to this black man. Okay, that is the way that they are breaking him. That is what I mean. And because of lack of knowledge, because we don't realize what we're seeing, a lot of us are helping in that. Like Lady Tia said, so many of our people are coming hard on Nick Cannon. That is lack of knowledge, especially when you are a black man in America and you are coming out like Dwayne Wade did against Nick Cannon. You should be able to sympathize and empathize with him. Okay? You probably didn't even know that you had that when they say the Jews own everything, you probably didn't know that was some kind of racial stereotype, a negative stereotype. You didn't know that. Do you see what I'm saying? They didn't know that. Because like I said, if you go around talking about black folks owning anything, we see that as a compliment. Because when we did try to own something like a Black Wall Street, it is destroyed. So we own nothing. We don't control any type of generational wealth. They say it's 1.1% of us own any type of generational wealth in this country. Number one, mainly because a lot of that generational wealth, a lot of this country's wealth, even today, was garnered off our backs, the backs of our ancestors. Okay? Even to this day, black people are traded in a different way on a stock market. It's called the prison industrial complex. Okay? Even to this day. So when you see these people going at Nick Cannon, don't help him. Don't help them in buck breaking them. Don't help them whip him. Okay? Because of your lack of knowledge, that is the same thing that the master made the slave do to another slave, was whip him. Okay? Or emasculate him. So I learned that, like I said, about the seasoning forms and what many of our male ancestors had to endure at these seasoning forums in Jamaica. Okay? I did not know that. I did not know that. I did not know that about black men. About what they did to the strong black slave or to a slave, a male slave that they thought would be combative. You know, you take away his manhood when you do him like that. Okay? And that is what they're doing to Nick Cannon right now. They're trying to render him moot. They're trying to mute him. Okay? They're trying to break him. You know? And he's trying to apologize. He's trying to apologize because he really didn't think he hurt nobody. And for people to black people, his own people, to be calling them sellout and standing with these Anglos and stuff, that has got to be very hurtful. Very hurtful to him. I can't imagine what he's thinking right now. You know, you never know what somebody's going through. But for black people to help buck break him, that's ridiculous. That don't make no sense. He might as well be on a seasoning form. Do you see what I'm saying? So yeah, he's done everything he can do because Nick Cannon realizes not only has this hurt him, it has also hurt all the people that, you know, were employed under him. Do you see what I'm saying? It is also because if they cancel his show and all of this and all that, all the people working for him, that means they're canceled as well. Do you see what I'm saying? But white supremacy, the tool, the machine of white supremacy, racism, is so insidious that it can literally function on its own. And moreover, it can have black people use black people as tools in a toolbox of white supremacy racism. And that is what we are witnessing right now. And that hurt my feelings. And I really wanted to explain that to you guys. Do you see what I'm saying? So that is what we're seeing right now happening to Nick Cannon. And so many other black people, especially in the entertainment industries. And they want to break, you know, black people in the entertainment field as well as the sports field, because they know that black people love entertainment. They know that black people love sports. Do you see what I'm saying? So when you can break these men and women down, make them cry, make them feel like they don't want to be on this earth anymore because of what they're going through, and they're going through it in public. When they're doing that to them in public, that's what they're trying to do, is silence all the other entertainers, all the other athletes. We talked about the NFL the other day, and why won't all the black NFL players stand up? We saw a lot of black NFL players speak out about Colin Kaepernick, you know, when he was bending the knee, you know, in the fight for injustice, like Terry Crews, right? Yeah, he the biggest. Yes, absolutely. He got to kiss the tip. Terry Crews does lay the tip because he associated himself with the Me Too movement when he said a white man grabbed his private parts at a party in front of his wife. Okay, he grabbed your private parts because he felt like he owned your private parts. You know, he know what you gonna do to get that role. You know, he felt entitled to grab your private part. That's why he did that in front of your wife, because he feel like you done been buck broke. Why else would he do that in front of your wife, if not to uplift your breaking? You know, signal that you broke, buck. I can have you anytime I want to have you, even in front of your woman. And so that was done to Terry Crews. So he cried about it and associated himself with the Me Too movement. But now, to get back in the good graces of the massa, he gonna come out speaking very derogatorily on black issues, coming out against Black Lives Matter. Do you see what I'm saying? If you don't agree with Black Lives Matter, then why don't you just shut up? You know, if you don't agree with Nick Cannon and you are black, why don't you just shut up? Why you gotta say something? Why you gotta help in his buck breaking? Why you gotta help that? Why you gotta Terry Crews? You know, he ain't nothing but a steroid head anyway. He don't look like he know too much of nothing anyway. But you got him all on these CNN shows and this Fox News talking about he an activist. What, he a Me Too activist? Is that what type of activist they're talking about? He's actively working against black people's best interests. Is that what they mean by him being an activist? Because I disagree. I don't see him as being any type of activist, not Terry Crews. I just see him as being some kind of basic level bootlicker, okay? That got embarrassed at one point in time because he know he buck broke, and that white man that grabbed him by his private parts at that party proved it to him in front of his wife. And he felt away. So now you want to shuck and jive for the man, right? Okay. So that's what we're witnessing with Terry Crews. I'm glad you brought his name up. But that's also, like I said, that's what we're witnessing happen to Nick Cannon. And I don't think he would be tweeting stuff like, I don't want to be on, y'all enjoy this earth and all of this and all that if his people had stood behind him. But we talked about us not unifying and what is the consequence of us being ununified as a people in this country. We talked about that yesterday. If you haven't seen that video, please go back and look at it. But it breaks my heart to see so many black people assisting in the buck breaking of Nick Cannon. And I just want to bring that to you guys. And I'm not going to hold you any longer. I'm going to get off here. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. And I also want to say once again in closing, rest in peace to our civil rights icons, John Robert Lewis, as well as Cordy, Tindell, Vivian, CT Vivian, and we learned that they fought alongside Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. They were on the front lines with him, as well as a lot of our elders that fought for our civil and human rights during the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. And I wanted to bring them up and do a little short, read a little short article about them, because so many of us don't know anything about our icons. So many of us don't know anything about our elders that fought and died many times in order for us to have what little rights, human and civil, that we have today. Do you see what I'm saying? And thank you, Lady Tia. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lady Tia. It means so much. Lady Tia said, "Oh, that is very sweet." Lady Tia said, "I always enjoy your love for us. I'm 10 toes down with you." Thank you, Lady Tia. That is all right. I really appreciate that. That lets me know that, somebody appreciates something that I'm saying, and that means a lot to me. So thank you for that. Thank you so much. Thank all you guys for joining me. And I'm going to get out of here, and I am going to let you guys finish your day. I'm going to finish my day. I'm ready to prepare some yellowfin tuna. That is what I'm going to prefer. Some yellowfin tuna patties, and I think I want to have some grilled cauliflower. Season it up real good. Have some grilled cauliflower as well as that yellowfin tuna. And I'm just thinking about me something to eat. Child, I had to go to the store this morning. We are in the middle of a heat wave. You welcome, Lady Tia. We are in the middle of a heat wave. I don't know if y'all are, but I am, down here in Tennessee. And I was sweating going out to my car at 9 o'clock in the morning to go to the store, y'all. I said, oh, this is what we're not going to do. But anyway, like I said, you guys enjoy your day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for joining me. I love you all just because you are you. Do you see what I'm saying? And thanks for listening to me. And please, share this video, because a lot of us may not even realize what we are assisting in, when it comes to, Nick Cannon, and anybody, any black person that wants to speak up, and these people want to shut them up, they want to buck break them, if you will. Do you see what I'm saying? Lady Tia said, thanks for the history lesson. You're more than welcome, Lady Tia. I don't know if I said that before, but you're more than welcome. And anyway, I'm going to get off here. You guys watch your back, you watch your front, you watch your side front, you stay cool, you stay woke, or you keep waking up. And I'm going to talk to you guys later. Love you all just because you are you. Bye-bye. Peace.